I'm just excited for these guys. I'm really excited that they could, fight and compete, come on the road, be in a game, get off to a good start, not be front runners, everything that we talked about. We tried to get the drive stopped sometimes. We ended this drives with scores, with touchdowns. We were much better in a red zone. On offensively, the only thing that stopped us today was us. So there was a lot of really good keys there. Again, the penalties on special teams, there's a lot to coach from, but it's going to be easier to coach from a win. We'll be able to coach them hard and make sure that we're trying to fix the things that hurt us. But we got off to a good start, and again, we knew that a lot of that was just to make sure that we made them earn it, and we didn't get the drive stopped on a couple of those X plays. They scored touchdowns.
Yes, welcome in. Good morning. It's Boston has entered the chat Monday, September 15th. In the Salem 5 studios, George Balekji, Adam Kaufman. First victory Monday for the Patriots this season. First victory Monday for the Pats on this program. What a beautiful day. 33-27 the final, Adam. Had to sweat at the end. Got dicey late. But in a shootout, the Patriots get their first win of the season. They beat a team they're supposed to. And Mike Vrabel at the podium looked still amped up. A lot of adrenaline pumping.
He's
running
excited. Down the sideline
right?
alongside Antonio Gibson. I love all the comments. For anyone that missed it, obviously Gibson with the really kind of game-defining touchdown that put the Patriots on top for good toward the end. The 90-yard kickoff return right after, obviously, the Dolphins had their long, 75-yard punt return for a touchdown. I mean, 2 touchdowns in 12 seconds. But that's the highlight. That's the social media moment, is Mike Vrabel running along the sideline next to Gibson, and everybody, Gibbs or Stephon Diggs saying after the game in the locker room, yeah, he's slow. Gibson saying he didn't notice, but if he had noticed, the message to himself, I got to learn how to run faster. Right. So this team was kind of feeling itself yesterday, and that is a good thing.
Yeah.
They needed some confidence off of what happened to the Raiders. They got another challenging game ahead with the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers. They're going to be hungry to try and bounce back after the way they lost against the Seahawks yesterday. So I think there were a lot of, don't get me wrong, there were things to clean up, but there were a lot of things to be excited about off of that Patriots win.
Exactly. This is a win that is a step in the right direction. The offense, they figured it out. They were relying on running the ball. They got away from dropping Drake May back 50-plus times to just throwing the ball just 23. They ran more. They were persistent with it. Fed Ramondre Stevenson plenty on the ground through the air. We saw more Antonio Gibson in the backfield as well. Keep all 3 backs fresh. I don't care. Keep dialing them through, because if you run the ball, it'll lead to success, like we saw in the opening scoring drive. 4th down conversion, 3rd down conversion. Going back to play action, how much that's helping the rookie QB. There are still the penalties. The defense still needs to figure itself out on the back end. This is a good win where the Patriots, you had to beat this team. They have to beat bad teams, because that's what Mike Vrabel said from day one.
Yeah.
We're going to take advantage of bad football. They're the games we're not supposed to win, we'll win, and the games we're supposed to win, we better damn win. This was one of those. This still, in a way, though, to me, Adam, just to be blunt, it felt like a moral loss, because this is a Dolphins team on the brink of implosion, about to fire their head coach, possibly turning on their quarterback, their franchise guy in Tua that's still having bad turnovers, lost with the football, and they allowed them back into this game. It's your kicker missing extra points as well, allowing this to be so tight. And it's the Malik Washington punt return, put Miami up. Now, you answer with Antonio Gibson, fantastic. Devin Achane, half a foot out of bounds, away from this morning, feeling a lot different. They're still not there yet, where they're doing enough to beat bad football, but there's a lot of bad football on the field from them. So getting this victory masks a lot of the ugly we were seeing on defense and within the margins. This is not a talented team. Drake May's good. Travion Henderson shows flashes of good. Milton Williams, Christian Barmore are good. Outside of that, it's a lot of sub-good players, and they beat a bad team.
I think it deals with a lot of what your preconceived notions were about the Patriots, the royal you. If you went into the season and thought, I'm just looking for some good improvement off of last year. I don't have, Super Bowl aspirations or something like that. Take me to 6-7 games, basically double what you did last year. I think you watch yesterday and you're ecstatic. If you're someone like me that said 9-10 wins, playoff team, you feel good. They're again, the defense, you mentioned it, 12 accepted penalties, offsides,
false starts on the offensive line. Morgan Moses here.
Dumb stuff that you need to fix. That's problematic. But still, you come out of it looking at all the bright things with Drake May, the composure, the maturity, not just going for home run plays and chunk pickups. It's methodically moving the chains, short yardage pickups, just being smart with the ball. You know, Josh McDaniels getting on the same page with his quarterback, designing plays for him, design runs, playing to his strengths. Those are a lot of things that leave you saying, okay, good win. If you're someone like you, who had them at 11 wins going into the year, you might come out of it, as you just said, and said, moral loss.
It's not, it's not the 11 wins. It's that this is a team with all the experience on the coaching staff and everything we put into Mike Vrabel. They should look cleaner than this. That's my thing.
That element is disappointing.
And it's the 11 wins, honestly, and I said it too every time I called that 10-11 wins playoff appearance. It's because of how easy the schedule is.
It is.
Because of how bad this Dolphins team is.
Very favorable schedule.
All the rookie quarterbacks are facing. They're facing an elite quarterback for might be 3 times with Joe Burrow going down. We'll get into that in a little bit. But it's Lamar, Josh Allen twice, possibly Joe Burrow, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's still, when you watch it, this is a bad football team making dumb mistakes. And on the Devin Achane touchdown, it's not even his foot half yard out of bounds, half a foot out of bounds. It's Marte Mapu. Good adjustment. You put him in a big nickel, you need better coverage. Can't make an open field tackle. That's year 3 for that guy. And you would expect to be more sound football up front. And for me, really, it's the quarterback, the pressure they're getting there, right?
Sure.
Harold Landry, Milton Williams, clutch sacks to close out the game, especially for Williams.
He was sacked 5 times.
They still need to blitz a ton, and that's saying we don't trust the guys on the back end. The zone defense not able to figure itself out.
Coordinator out there calling plays.
Yeah,
you know,
but this is also Zach Core, who's he's been doing it all summer with Zach Core, right? And Terrell Williams more experience in Core, who's an inside linebackers coach, and you don't have him calling plays. But it was also what we saw week 1 too against Geno Smith and the Raiders. A lot of lapses in the secondary with Terrell Williams there. He's not there in week 2. Same lapses happening. This team, it's the reoccurring mistakes, but the offense got better. Drake May, 230 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 30 rushing yards.
Only 4 incompletions.
Only 4 incompletions, super efficient game, rushing touchdown as well. We saw him and Kayshon Boutte flexing their chemistry once again, finding Matt Collins. Here was Drake May after the game talking about his big afternoon, his big outing against the Dolphins.
Drake, on the wheel route to Ramondre, just what did you see on that play?
Yeah, just trusting him. I think we throw those kind of routes all the time in practice. I work on them. I throw them to him after practice. Working on him, catch it over the shoulder. I thought I overthrew it at first, and he made a great play. So I thought he was about to score on it. But I thought all 3 backs made a big impact today, and those guys up front blocked hard.
You talked last week about running less sideways and getting upfield more. Were you happy with your performance on the ground today?
Yeah, just trying to keep defense honest. They play a lot of zone and matching routes, so just trying to keep them honest. And those guys up front, like I said, did a great job of making lanes and cutting down rush lanes. So like I said, just trying to get what I can.
Drake, what does it mean to you coming off a loss last week and then dealing with all the lead changes for your team to continue pushing and obviously come out with a win in a hard place to play?
Yeah, we were preaching all week, start fast. We did that, and we knew they could respond, and they responded well. So we got to come back out of half better. Out of 3 and out. We got to just keep drives going in the second half, get the first down, because once we do that, I think we're pretty tough to stop. So that's our mindset, and like I said, just enjoy this win and get back after next week.
Drake, you seem just a lot more confident, comfortable out there. Did you feel that way on the field with everything that you had?
Yeah, I think that's why I try to approach it every week. I try to approach that like that every week. I think just trying to stay cool and calm in the huddle. Those guys respond to me and fire them up. So I feel like that's my mindset every week, and it's my job to get these guys going.
That end question is an important part, too, for Drake May. He was smart with the football, efficient, like you pointed out, only 4 incompletions. When he was running the ball, you saw him with an intentional mindset. Even with greener pastures, get out of bounds, avoid contact. So being smart when he's rushing it.
Not running with his head like he did last year.
Yes, his mechanics, slowed down, poised, composed, and his passes accurate and on the money. We did not see any of that week 1 against Vegas. He threw the ball a ton, but he seemed rushed the whole time. He never got settled down. Week 2 against Miami, everything seemed to slow down for him. That was a big leap forward for Drake May.
Well, and I don't know how much of that was even as simple as starting the game with 3 straight rushing plays. Just, all right, let's establish the pass or establish the run to set up the pass and all of these things. You talked about the balance before. They cut his passes in half by, and then some in terms of attempts at 23 compared to 50 plus. They ran the ball. Now, granted, he accounted for 10 of these, but they ran the ball as a team 29 times. That was more on the ground than it was in the air. And I think a lot of that was by design. Let's take a little bit off our quarterback's plate. Now, obviously, if they weren't running with any level of efficiency, then they would have had to adjust that on the fly. If they were playing from behind, you would have seen a lot more passes. But this was a back-and-forth game, 5 lead changes throughout this thing, and the Patriots were always in it. Always in striking distance. And again, just to bring it back to some of the numbers, things that we can get encouraged by. Sure, they were outgained barely, yardage 358 to 333, but they controlled the time of possession, roughly 34 minutes to 26 minutes. That is a sizable advantage. In terms of the third and fourth down efficiency that the Patriots had, on those 2 downs combined, they went 8 of 13, 3 of 4 in the red zone, which is huge.
Yep.
They were getting in there. They weren't stalling. They were delivering touchdowns at almost every single opportunity that they got in there. This team, we were joking about it a little bit earlier when we were chatting, the 30-plus points. They hadn't scored. I know this sounds like mind-boggling, but the Patriots had not scored 30-plus points in this era of offense in the NFL in a single game since Week 6 of 2022. It had been a stretch of 47 games.
How bad the offense has been here.
Had scored 30-plus. Now, a lot of that, obviously it's Mac Jones, it's Bailey Zappi, it's
Those are Matt
Brissett,
Patricia, Joe Judge run offense, too.
Well,
I don't want any part of that.
Soiled everything for a little while, but
Yeah.
I do think, to some degree, this is a sign of things to come.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean all of a sudden the Patriots or the Bills, the Ravens, you're putting up 30-plus points every single week. But I hope, anyway, gone are the days that we're saying if the Patriots don't score 25 points, they have no chance of winning a game. The defense is going to improve. It is. There was a lot of stupidity yesterday. We talked about it. But the defense is going to get better when you get Christian Gonzalez. When you bring in an all-pro cornerback, it
allows you to play man defense.
Allows you to play man defense.
It cleans up a lot on the back end. It helps out your young safeties.
Chart a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. It's just, you're going to take away top targets on the other side. If you have Christian Gonzalez, like Tyreek Hill doesn't necessarily go for 100-plus receiving yards yesterday. So these things, they're going to change. They're going to evolve. They're going to improve. So I'm preferring, anyway, to take this victory Monday, to look at yesterday and say, these are the reasons for optimism going forward. Now, if I'm sitting here a week from today on the heels of a blowout loss to the Steelers, then sure, probably singing a different tune. But right now, I'm feeling okay.
That's when it'll get real. Like, again, this is an entire locker room on the brink of implosion. Now, the Steelers coming off a loss against the Seahawks. And the Seahawks, again, I think when we look back at the calendar year of the NFL, they will be a playoff team, and they'll be one of the darlings.
Steelers?
I don't want to say, no, Seahawks. Seahawks, I'm saying.
Okay.
Seahawks will be a playoff team. So Steelers are coming off a loss against a good team. But that's a good defense. Run game. They got to clean up some stuff like the rookie running back mistake on the kick return. But it's Aaron Rodgers still upright. Like that gets back to the real test for me. How we see the first 4 weeks shake out, Adam. It was the Raiders, an okay team, better offense than a defense.
Should have won that game,
Dolphins,
though.
bad team. Should have beat the Raiders. It'll be the Steelers with a good defense. It'll be the Carolina Panthers, who they should be, again, a bad football team. And we'll see week 5 on, the tests come again. They have an easy schedule in front of them. But this is a team still that was able to overcome that late punt return. When that happened, I thought, that's it. That's done. You're going to have to rely on Drake May. This part, late in the game, going to have to put together a drive where they're going for it. And this is a soft Dolphins team, but that's when the pressure mounts up. They respond with special teams. Andy Borregales misses 2 extra points, but has a 23-yard field goal to make it 15 points for the Pats. And obviously the game winner at the end, the 53-yard one. That's where they piece it together, and you see those flashes. I'm happy it's a Patriots win where Drake May looks good in his development, and the run game shows semblance. And with that run game, too, 10 of those rushing attempts was Drake May as well. Again, it is Josh McDaniels little by little feeding in the full thing, the full plate of an NFL offense to Drake May.
That being said, I am worried about Borregales.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can't be. He has now missed kicks in both games so far. He's 50% on extra points. These are I know they moved it back.
It's still
to be a more competitive play.
You can't leave points on the board.
No, it's if you're lining up from that range for a field goal, everyone is saying chip shot. You have to hit it. Extra point, no different. You need to make these kicks. And so I'm hoping, this being a young kid, a 6th-round pick out of Miami, all this stuff, he's there at home basically. I'm hoping that he can get out of his head, that the 53-yarder there late in the game, which the Patriots, by the way, did not want to attempt. They were going to go for it on 4th down until a penalty, one of those penalties backed them up. So fine, they go for it. Maybe that's a blessing in disguise. Maybe that was fortuitous because, sure, you don't keep the ball, you don't get the 1st down, but you did get him the 53-yarder, and he could sleep at night. He could travel back home feeling like he didn't screw things up, and he's not going to be looking over his shoulder for kicker tryouts this coming week, in Foxborough. He can say, all right, my coach said after the game, he's got confidence in me. I appreciate Vrabel doing that because not all coaches would in that situation, but hopefully he can keep his head about him, and going forward, he's okay. Not necessarily 5 for 5 on field goals. Parker Romo, the guy that he beat out, later, if you will, for the job, but at least he can move forward, saying, I've missed 1 field goal this year. That was week 1. I missed the 2 extra points in week 2. Maybe in week 3, in however many opportunities I get across the board, I'm perfect, and we can keep building from there.
It's, again, being that fine-tuned football operation. You want to take advantage of bad football? The little things, special teams. You can't have your punter out-kicking the coverage and allowing that punt return touchdown. You can't have your kicker allowing those extra points to be missed and even following up his big field goal with kicking the kickoff short of landing zone, and then you have a penalty there. So let's end it with this quick. Joe Burrow, the breaking news this morning, he will need toe surgery, out a minimum 3 months. That may be, at best, a December 14th return. Hosting the Baltimore Ravens, here's some luck that falls the Patriots' way. They face in Cincinnati, and the Patriots will have long prep. They're coming off a Thursday night game on this one. In Cincinnati, November 23rd.
So you'll miss Burrow.
Jake Browning. And that's a game you got to win.
Jake Browning was okay. He was good enough.
He's a backup quarterback. You have to beat him with Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, I mean,
and with this defense, you have Christian Gonzalez back.
Obviously not so great, but he was a big part of helping his team to that victory without a doubt. And Cincinnati is 2-0. The Patriots eventually will be on to Cincinnati, if you will. But Jake Browning, he's been through this before. When Burrow was out in 2023, Browning was 4-3, passed for about 2,000 yards, completed 70% of his passes. He was efficient. Let's not discount. He still has the chases, Jamar and Brown. He still has T. Higgins. That is a more than functional offense. He's going to continue to lean in on Jamar Chase. Dude had 14 catches, 16 targets yesterday. So if teams figure out a way to contain him, double coverage, whatever it is, maybe that's how you sort of limit Browning. But I still believe in this Cincinnati team, not as a world beater, not as a Super Bowl champ. I still think they're a playoff team. If Browning can keep them live enough until Burrow gets back,
keep the train on the tracks.
Right. But to your point, that becomes a much more winnable game for the Patriots without him.
The playoff picture looks interesting, though.
By the way, the Patriots did beat Joe Burrow last year.
They did. Week 1.
Just want to mention
Take him to the hill.
Yeah,
most overreaction game possibly ever. But that shakes up the playoff picture, too. Colts, how sound that defense looks. They just upset the Broncos. Again, Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor just run the ball.
Danny Dimes comeback player of the year situation.
I mean, he won a playoff game before. That's what got him paid with New York. He's a guy that can take you to the playoffs if you keep it all small with him. And that can open up things for the Patriots, too. We both have our win totals. I think mine being at 11 is much more bold than 10. It just shows how much they can do. That opens up this window of this Patriots team possibly being in the postseason. We both welcome that. It could be ugly football like we saw yesterday where they're barely winning. I will take it.
I don't care how.
If it's playoff football,
not how, it's how many.
Yes,
Get
exactly.
it done.
We'll take a quick break here on Boston and Center of the Chat. When we're back, we'll talk playoff baseball. Red Sox salvage weekend against the Yankees. They're still in a wild card spot. But what does this lineup, what does this rotation bullpen look like when we're looking towards postseason baseball? And is Alex Cora saying, hey, don't talk postseason yet. Let's win what's in front of us. All that and more coming up on Boston is End of the Chat, which you could catch every Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 a.m. on NESN, 9 to 10 a.m. on NESN Nation. That's Boston is End of the Chat, wherever you get NESN and wherever you get your podcasts as well. Check us out on YouTube, too. We'll be right back after the quick break.
I mean, if you tell me for Myers, we're in a playoff spot going into, with 2 weeks left, I would take it. So I know a lot of people here would take it too, So, we're not perfect, like I always said, but it's a good baseball team. So, be ready for Tuesday.
9-4 against them this year. Take a lot of pride in kind of that lopsided number.
I think at the end of the day, it's where you finish. Play well against them. They beat us 3 days in a row, 3 games in a row. It is what it is. They have a great team. Playing better defense now, and they're more athletic. So we'll see what happens.
That's Alex Cora after the Red Sox 6-4 win, saved the weekend against the Yankees. Garrett Crochet goes out and does what Garrett Crochet does, shoves, get his 16th win. The stopper every weekend, 12 Ks, 6 innings pitched. Whitlock, Chapman, 4 strikeouts between the two of them, nails on the back end. What's big is they get this win against the Yankees. They avoid getting swept. They've only won 4 of their last 10, Adam.
Yeah.
But in that second wild card spot, a game advantage over the Astros, who are in the final spot. And as much as they have 82 wins on the year, great. They're above 500. Let's give them that. They're going to finish above 500 this year, first time in a long time. This is a team that, and Alex Cora said it too, I'm not going to talk about October yet. We need to finish now. A's, Blue Jays, Tigers, all remaining on their schedule. Yeah. Rays as well. That this is not a lock to get into the postseason. It's good to show flashes like this of salvage weekend against the Yankees. Right. Keep their heads above the water.
I mean, are we allowed to talk October? I'd like to talk October.
You can, 1,000%.
There's 12.
This is a playoff team to me.
There are 12 games left in the regular season. At this point in time, this is more than hanging on. This is not collapsing, right? This is a team that, was generally solid last month. I know this month they're not, some people like to say limping to the finish. They're not, like you said, 4 out of 6 is not limping to the finish. If they were 5-5, they would be the dictionary definition of mediocre. They are ever so slightly below that because the series with the Yankees didn't go so well. And of course, Crochet does what a Cy Young favorite is supposed to go out there and do, and leads his team to even a somewhat sweaty victory by the end there after that 6-0 lead. They held on. But you've got meaningful series coming up. You mentioned it. You can't fall apart at this point in time. Maybe gone are the dreams that I had only a few days ago of winning the American League East, because you have, even with a head-to-head, a series left against the Blue Jays, you have fallen behind enough that you're not going to leapfrog both New York and Toronto. It's just not going to go your way. So fine, let's fixate on the wild card. Let's think about, is there a path still to finishing as the top wild card team and hosting the Yankees in that series, as opposed to having to go to the Bronx? And there is, because again, with a dozen games left and a relatively light schedule outside of Toronto, you're a game and a half behind New York. New York has won 14 of 20. That's great, 70%, but they could hit a little bit of a skid. It's not out of the range of possibilities, but you have to keep an eye, unfortunately, on teams that are hot, that are right behind you. Because the Red Sox, right now, the wild card standings, Astros, Rangers, Guardians are all within 3.5 games of Boston. You go on a little 4-game skid right here that, in mid-June would not decimate you. If you do that right now, you might be out of the playoffs. So I think they understand. There's still a lot of experience, a lot of youth, and we commend that youth. We celebrate it all the time. But there's a lot of experience on that roster as well, and obviously an experienced manager that has won a World Series and has, been at the helm of one of the most successful teams in all of Major League Baseball history back in 2018. I'm not concerned. I think they'll be okay. I trust the starting pitchers enough, the 1 through 3 at the very least, of Crochet and Bayo and Giolito. The back end of the bullpen, as you hit on, Whitlock and Chapman. You have multiple all-stars on this team. I think the lineup is going to get a little bit healthier. Absent Roman Anthony, unfortunately, I think they're going to be okay. And I think coming off that win over the Yankees, hopefully that, with an off day now, catapults them well into another important home stretch against an A's team that comes in pretty hot, 4 straight wins.
And that's with the teams behind them in the standings. Rangers have won 7 of their last 10. Guardians are 9-1 their last 10. And those are teams that are 3.5 games back, all within reach of the Red Sox for that second wild card spot. They're 4-6 their last 10, and this is the 3rd straight weekend we've seen them drop the series. It was the Pirates, it was the Diamondbacks, it's now the Yankees. That's what worries me, is a consistency of saying, okay, they salvaged the weekend, and you sandwich in there. They beat the Guardians, who are right behind them in a series. They beat the A's, take 2 out of 3 against Las Vegas, Sacramento, Oakland, whatever you want to call them at this point. Take them in that point. But since Roman Anthony's also gone down, and it's more than just a rookie who is hitting like a top 5 bat in baseball, they've been bottom 3rd in Major League Baseball, batting average, weighted runs created plus, OPS, however you want to put it. This lineup is, now it's the issue for me. At first it was, all right, what's the back end of the rotation? Is it Connolly, Early, thank you. I was going to say Easterly. Is it Peyton Tolley? Right, at the 4 or 5. You can say whatever you want.
I mean, I've never heard Connolly as a first name before, so we'll make it up from there.
Exactly. Is it Connerly early? Is it Peyton Tolley on the back end? At one point, it was a bullpen. But we see what Whitlock and Chapman can do. For me right now, it's this lineup that worries me. The lack of producing runs and having the support. 6 runs in the first inning. They lit up Will Warren, and then they got quiet from that point on.
Right. Yeah. Runners in scoring position was a major issue in this Yankees series.
Yeah.
The first 2 games, you're 1 for 13, 15, something like that. 3 out of 3 in the first inning, obviously, in that 6-run inning, but things quiet from there, as you said. So there's still some inconsistency. There's a lot of up and downs with this lineup. As you said, without Roman Anthony there at the top to set the tone, it feels like, you said it, 4 and 6 in Anthony's absence. It feels like he has been out for 6-7 weeks watching these Red Sox on a daily basis. I can't even remember a time that I was rooting on Roman Anthony on a nightly basis. Gives him more time, I guess, to dine on the North End and all these pictures that keep getting posted to Instagram. But I'm glad he's filling his time. We need him back. We need to see him back in a Red Sox uniform. But they need to advance not only into the playoffs, but obviously through a little bit in order to make that a reality. It's cliche to say, and we say it, all the time across sports. Get into the dance.
Yeah,
get into
that's
the
the
dance.
biggest
Anything
part.
can happen.
Yeah.
At that point, especially the variance that exists in Major League Baseball, where is your ace going to have it today, or a particular starting pitcher? Is the bullpen going to screw it up in the latter innings? What days are you hitting better than others? There are so many things that are at play when it comes to baseball on a daily basis. Even Crochet yesterday, the dozen strikeouts, 6 innings. He also allowed 3 runs.
Yeah.
Okay? And I'm not saying that's bad. It was a quality start, and Crochet is your ace for a reason and all these things. But 3 runs, the way the Red Sox offense was going, might not have, been a safety spot.
And that's
the
my
Red Sox
concern
could have put
with
up
this
2 runs in
lineup.
that game, and all of a sudden you got a great outing out of Crochet.
Yeah.
It's not enough. You lose.
And it's still with Steve Matz being that middle reliever. He allowed a home run as well, and that's what made it 6-4. And then you're holding on at that point. Get to Whitlock, get to Chapman. The 4 guys I'm not worried about when it comes to this team: Crochet, Bayo, Whitlock, Chapman. None of them ever hold a bat in their hands. And that's what worries me at this point. Where this is a lineup that still has Alex Bregman, and that's why you paid him all this money. Still has Trevor Story. That's why you paid him all this money, for those guys to be the vets and the leaders. They'll get Will Abreu back. But it is the absence of Roman Anthony, again, putting too much on a rookie. It's my worry is that throughout this lineup, where it's gotten to this point, but how many times is Eaton, Sogard, Romy Gonzalez, are those guys going to lead to big at-bats? Exactly, in the production. Connor Wong, he's going to take valuable at-bats in the postseason.
I missed last year's Connor Wong.
All of us do.
What is going on?
All of us do. But hey, this year's Garrett Crochet wearing a Red Sox uniform. Everyone loves to see. Here was a Red Sox ace after a 6-inning, 12-strikeout performance yesterday against the Yankees.
Just giving the team a chance to win. Really trying hard to avoid the sweep today against a really good ball club. We've had some tough series versus some guys as of late. Obviously, this one up until today was going in the wrong direction. So just trying to rewrite the ship. Obviously the offense came out in a big way early, and I was just trying my best to maintain that lead for as long as my outing lasted.
Is there a sense you guys really needed this game today?
I think you could argue we needed every game. That's kind of been, I think, the general mentality as we've gotten into the last month of the season. Really from April on, every game counts. So there's always a sense of urgency.
Jared, as a starter, how much do you take into stopping a losing streak when it's your turn?
Yeah. I think that statement is fairly obvious. Just trying to do my best to put the team in a position to win.
I know you guys can get tired this time of year, but the adrenaline kind of carry you through when the crowd is kind of like it is for these games.
Yeah, especially as we're nearing the end here. I don't want to have any regret on my mind here in a couple weeks. Just trying to do everything I can to put us in a good spot, and if that means giving it a little extra gas, although I didn't feel like I had to give it extra. It was a packed house tonight. We already talked about it being a must-win game, so just doing everything I could.
So that's Garrett Crochet. Adam, what we've seen all year from him, he just gets the job done. And I love that they have this ace that is, appointment television to watch him start, can be the stopper.
So it reminds you of Chris Sale, doesn't it?
A little bit. But
These
you know what?
former White Sox lefties.
Right? It's that, but this is a guy I got more faith in as a professional will be there for the Red Sox to fulfill this contract. It's the A's, it's the Rays, Blue Jays, and Tigers. 4 remaining series for this Red Sox team. That'll be their guy to start every series. Bayo, Giolito. What faith do you have in this team, how they can finish out this second half of the month?
Well, again, you have an A's team that is coming in hot, is a bad team, isn't going anywhere, but it has won 4 straight games. You know,
good lineup, bad pitching.
Absolutely. I mean, Nick Kurtz is always dangerous, obviously. Think back to all the different home runs he's hit this year, but I think clearly it's a winnable series. You have to win the series. Rays feel the same way. Tampa's not a good team. And then you get, obviously, to Toronto. We'll see. Detroit probably going to be resting fair stretch of guys, you know, during that final series because they've got everything locked up that they need in the Central. They're not going to be playing for anything. So these are important games for the Red Sox. The playoff games started with the Yankees series. They're underway.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. All right, we'll take a quick break here on Boston Has Entered the Chat. When we're back, we'll get into what's trending. Hear from Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel. With the loss from the Pats, it seemed to have broken his brain. We have that right after the break. Welcome back to Boston Has Entered the Chat. Hey, you want to leave us a voicemail, 617-790-0928. Call into the chat, leave a voicemail, have you enter the conversation. So, Adam, as we recapped it to open up the show, Patriots win 33-27. You see the banner flying over the stadium before the game, though? Fire Greer, fire McDaniel. Seats are hot in Miami, and that gets hot down there in South Beach. Here was Mike McDaniel after the game. Patriots beat the Dolphins by 6, and it's like they beat the IQ out of him. You got to listen.
That's kind of where the frustration lies for me. Is there was not, it wasn't deciding that cost us or a late play call, which that happens at times. But this was not one of those times. I got the play call in, but I need to do a better job supervising all of the orchestration within our multiple personnel groups. So to win games, you have to win the game, not lose the game, honestly. And that is how you lose the game. You're moving the ball down the field. You're 1st and 10, and then you find yourself at 2nd and 20. That was critical.
To win the game, you have to win the game.
Yeah, you got to not lose the game.
To win the game, but the way you lose a game is you lose a game.
Right.
I get what he's saying, but man,
I think what you're...
It reads worse than it sounds, and it sounds bad.
There are 2 things that you're hearing when we play that. There's one, like I know we're heading, if we're not there already, to this world where it's just AI everything. It feels like the bot's broken, right? Like it feels like somebody infiltrated the AI and got inside there and just sort of broke the offensive genius, the guru. I think you're also hearing a guy who, if we sort of humanize this a little bit, you're hearing a guy who knows the end is near, right?
The pressure's piling up.
Pressure's piling up. He knows, like, shoot, Week 1 is a game that a lot of people thought we were at least going to put up a fight with the Colts. We got eviscerated. This was the bounce back. This was the game that we were supposed to win. Patriots are terrible down here. We're, kind of on even footing in terms of our organizations right now. Arguably a lot more talent in our offense, probably not even arguable between, Tua and Hill and Waddle, all that. Like we need to win this game. We're 1-1. No one expects us to beat the Bills, so fine. We're kind of starting at 1-2. You go out, you lose. Not only lose the way you did against the Patriots, as he sort of limped on through there, and now on a short turnaround on Thursday.
You got Superman.
You're waiting on the Bills to destroy you.
Yep.
It's dead man walking.
Yeah.
Mike McDaniel is going to be Friday morning of this week. He's
without
out.
a job.
He's gone. He's done. And it's the full organizational reset is coming in Miami.
And it's especially with how they, like to your point, were blown out by the Colts. Offense was inept. They were totally outmatched week 1. They lose that game week 2. It's Devin Achane. Yes, his foot is half a foot out of bounds. It's the defense still not looking sharp in the first half. The offense and Tua had taken a while to get going and bad turnovers. But it was also what he's alluding to and probably was asked about. After that Achane touchdown's called back, there's a penalty because he wasn't getting the play call in right. Like, that's a part of being a good, sound head coach in a good football operation. No matter what happens, you have the next play call coming in.
Right.
And then you hear everything short-circuiting. To win the game, you have to win the game. And I get what he's saying. To win the game, we have to do everything right. We need to make sure we win it. You lose games by handing it to the opponent.
Right. We always have the conversation like, well, did the Patriots win it or did the Dolphins lose it? That's, we've had that conversation a million times.
Yesterday was a mix of both,
games.
but exactly
But
that.
that's what he was trying to express, maybe not so well.
That post-game presser after after Thursday night will be interesting. That will be interesting. Hey, talking about clutch wins, though, Parker Romo signed by the Falcons on Tuesday. They benched their quarterback, Younghoe Koo, and he was inactive on Sunday night. 5 for 5 field goals made. They win 22-6 Sunday Night Football over the Vikings. Parker Romo was a finalist for the kicking competition against Andy Borregales.
Yeah.
He was part of the final cutdowns, and we saw, now let's talk about this part of this Patriots team. And what concerns me, Borregales misses 2 extra points. Game shouldn't have been that tight. Had the massive 53-yard field goal, but it just shows that teeter between Parker Romo, a guy that was there for the final competition, 28 years old, a veteran, literally said, hey, nice to meet you to Leonard Floyd on the walk-off interview on the field. He could have been the kicker. Patriots right now, they have a rookie that they can't really rely on.
Yeah, I mean, let's not throw around the word veteran, right? I mean, he's been in the league for a hot minute.
Yeah.
He's older, like you said, but, you know, he had a cup of coffee with Minnesota last year and, you know, no real NFL experience. So in training camp, I get it. Like, there was a debate. In terms of workload, it was always trending toward Andy Borregales. But let's also not confuse. Borregales did not beat out Parker Romo. He didn't win the job so much as he was handed it. He was just chosen. He was given the job because he was the draft pick.
Exactly, an actual draft pick, not an undrafted free agent.
And so fine, except just this couldn't be playing it through 2 weeks. This couldn't be playing itself out worse because you have Borregales miss a field goal last week. This week, obviously, misses the 2 extra points, as you said. He hit the big field goal late, maybe restores some level of confidence, but then immediately after hitting that field goal to put the Patriots up by 6, he gets the penalty for, you know, failing to hit the landing area with the kickoff. So that's just another thing to where you have to have Mike Vrabel after the game talking about his confidence in the kid and how perfect, how poetic, how anti what we want it to be for Parker Romo to go out there and be the hero in a low-scoring, very field goal-driven game. As you said, 5 for 5, first game, new team, doesn't know anybody. He's part of the Sunday Night Football post game on the field there, and you know, it's prime time, center stage, and he's the guy that's delivering, whereas the Patriots look like they have a special teams problem.
Yeah. By the way, the Falcons, the only touchdown we saw, they did not score it until late in the fourth quarter. It wasn't like a 5 for 5 sprinkle in. No, first 5 scores for the Falcons. It was all thanks to him.
These weren't all chip shots. He had a 50-plus, too.
Exactly. And that's a guy, again, so to your point, it was handed because when you're looking at someone that you wasted draft capital on, I don't want to say wasted. It's 2 games into a rookie career, but you use draft capital on the politics of the game. They're going to go with that guy. Of course, a prospect they see they can develop. All right, by the way, too, you see that the Niners are off to a 2-0 start? 1-0 with Brock Purdy, 1-0 with Mac Jones. 26-21 final over the Saints. Here's Mac's line, Adam. 26 for 39. That's 67% completion percentage. 279 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. QB rating 113.1. There's a tweet on your screen, too. Man, Mac wearing number 10 for the Niners. Looks sharp in that jersey. He looks sharp in this offense. Adam, I'll tell you, I'm not shocked by this. Because this is a guy, we saw the glimpses, the flashes, his rookie season with Josh McDaniels. Then it was the mishandling of him from that point on. Patricia and Joe Judge as his OCs. It's Bill O'Brien, who's only allowed to hire his assistant tight ends coach to bring on his staff, and that's it. It was the mess in New England. And this is a guy that this is his ceiling. He could be a spot start quarterback as a backup and play well within a pro-style offense and win you games. Or he could be a guy that can be a good, average starting quarterback for an entire season. Again, the poetic thing. As Bill Belichick is barely getting by in UNC, you see Mac Jones with the San Francisco 49ers, who want to draft him, by the way, originally. Him being successful and winning games for them, albeit against a Saints team that could be the worst team in football.
Yeah, I think that last part is important. The Saints blow. You know, there was just no way in my mind. Short of Mac Jones maybe would not be the reason that the Niners were going to win that game, but he absolutely was capable of being the reason that they lost it. You know, if he played as poorly for San Francisco as he did throughout much of his time with New England, last year in an opportunity when Trevor Lawrence went down for Jacksonville, but it was not a functional organization here in New England when Mac Jones was there after that first year. You outlined all the different reasons why, and Bill Belichick just never, I don't know if he was against the pick, didn't like the kid. You know, there was a lot of like that sort of preppy, homeschool, tennis brat kind of stuff that people used to throw around.
Only child, silver spoon fed.
Yeah, and maybe Bill just didn't mesh with him. Maybe he didn't feel the hunger, the chase, the want, all of that. I don't know. We're not behind closed doors, but it never felt like a
there was no buy-in from the head coach.
Perfect match. And Belichick almost went out of his way at points throughout the Mac Jones tenure to not instill confidence in him. The multiple benchings, starting Bailey Zappi, it felt like it was destined to fail really after year one with all the different decisions, to the coaching staff as well. Jacksonville bad. You put him in a functional environment, in a good system with Kyle Shanahan. I'm not saying that Mac Jones is going to be Sam Darnold, where he's getting this big payday and he's going to be an NFL starter regularly once again. But what he is a guy who's capable of winning you games if you have Christian McCaffrey and Ricky Pearsall and Juwan Jennings and soon enough Brandon Ayuk and guys like that, George Kittle
and
around
a play
him.
caller and a schemer like Kyle Shanahan.
Yes.
Which again, he's one of the best in the game. Where that was there with Josh McDaniels his rookie season. They were the building blocks.
Yeah.
And to your point on everything he did, there was no buy-in between the head coach and the QB, even to the point, I think it was Mark Daniels with the reports that he stopped talking to Mac Jones.
Right.
Could you imagine that? The most important partnership in any NFL franchise is a head coach and the starting quarterback. And he stopped talking to him. It's again these layers we find out on really why he had to go in New England and he ran his course. You mentioned it's like the silver spoons fed, like the only child type. I just think it got to the point where we know in his second year, Mac Jones was calling Alabama, seeking advice, right?
Yeah.
Hey, what do I do in this situation?
Right.
We know how insecure Bill Belichick is with trust. I think once Mac did that, it rubbed him the wrong way. And I'm not justifying it, but it's why they let Brian Hoyer go, who's a good veteran, mentor quarterback. It's why they let Jacoby Myers walk, because he openly was like, I don't know what we're doing on offense.
Yep.
And it's why he stopped talking to Mac Jones and sabotaged his career in New
He
England.
didn't go to Alex Guerrero.
At that point, go to him. At that point, go to him. Honestly, you've done everything. There's nothing else you can do. There's no turning back. Get your body in the best shape possible. I suppose so. We'll take another break here on Boston Has Entered the Chat. When we're back, we'll be breaking down a little preview. Doubleheader tonight on Monday Night Football. I know Adam's going to have plenty of bets, too. I'm excited to find those out. We'll take a quick break here on Boston Has Entered the Chat. When we're back, we'll take a look at the Monday Night Doubleheader. Welcome back to Boston Has Entered the Chat. We got a Monday night doubleheader tonight. Buccaneers versus Texans at 7. Chargers versus Raiders at 10. Good quarterback matchups. I mean, it's Baker versus C.J. Stroud, Justin Herbert against Geno Smith. And as you saw last week, no more stank on Geno Smith's name.
Yep.
I'm excited for tonight's matchups. Let's start between the Buccaneers and the Texans in this one.
Can we also just thank the NFL for doing this right?
Staggering them.
Yes.
Not a 7 o'clock and then 8 o'clock kickoff.
2-3 times last year we had those double headers where it was, the one would start a half hour late.
Right.
So
and then you're
great.
flipping between
You're
two
like,
channels.
What am I doing here? I can't red zone this.
Also an East Coast team and a Central time zone team.
Right.
And then the West Coast teams. Kick them off at 10.
7-10. Perfect.
I also love the 7 o'clock kickoff, too.
Yes.
Because showing my age here, I'm just 31.
Yeah.
8:20, 8:15 kickoffs, too late for me.
Right.
It's 7 o'clock. Let's keep this going. We're going to
Amen.
see it. All right, so now let's get to game one, which kicks off at 7, which we both love. Buccaneers against the Texans. Bucs 1-0, Texans 0-1.
Yeah.
This is an interesting matchup where we see a Houston team down their starting center for an offensive line is C.J. Stroud trying to find their footing. New play caller, Nick Caley, his second game there. Offense did not look right in week 1. This is a good Todd Bowles defense led in Tampa. And it's Baker Mayfield with no Tristan Wirfs still against a really good Houston pass rush. This game's intriguing because it's two defensive-minded head coaches, two talented quarterbacks. I'd take Baker over CJ. I think this one's going to be tight, Adam, and I think it's because of the defenses and how banged up these offenses are.
Yeah, I think the spread indicates as much, right? You're looking at the Bucs, the road team, as 2.5-point dogs in this one. I think there are, a lot of elements to this. Obviously, you mentioned the defense, and I think that's particularly important for C.J. Stroud in that there's no Laramie Tunsil. He doesn't have, obviously, great protection in front of him. It's already an offense that's a little bit limited. I do expect a bounce back out of both Nico Collins and Dalton Schultz. Both these guys have a favorable matchup in that the Bucs kind of struggle against wide receivers, kind of struggle against tight ends. I don't think they're going to get much of anything going in the run game, however. But, with the blitz-heavy Todd Bowles defense, Stroud's going to be under pressure constantly. He's going to take sacks. He's going to take hits. He's going to be forced into some mistakes. Whether that leads to a turnover, we'll see. I just think the value, ultimately, and we talk about that in betting all the time, I think the value in this game is on the dog. It's on Tampa because to your point, I trust Baker Mayfield more than I trust C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud had a solid rookie year, really regressed as a sophomore, and didn't really do anything against the Rams in the first game this year. So he's got to build back up people's confidence who want to trust him. I know what Baker Mayfield, generally speaking, is going to give me at this point in his career. I love Mike Evans, so long as he stays healthy. He is right now. Emeka Egbuka, who is just electric as a rookie, is a ton of fun to watch.
Ohio State wide receiver. Drop him into the league and watch him produce
I mean,
from day
just
one.
wait until obviously they get Chris Godwin. I know that's not happening tonight, but this offense is going to continue to improve as the season moves along and kind of finding their way post Liam Cohen as well.
Yeah.
There's an element of that, but I like the Bucs to win this game. I would take them on the money line.
Same.
I wouldn't even necessarily mess around with the points. Maybe if you were getting 3.5, you say,
exactly.
okay,
Once it gets under a field
game.
goal,
Yeah,
you're like, what's the value there?
You're beyond a key number
Yeah.
at that point. So, then you're rooting for some kind of
21-20 win.
Yeah, some weird scoring in there where it's not kind of back and forth. I'm just not going to bother. Like, give me the plus money. Give me the value on the dog. It's how I felt last night about Atlanta. Screw the points.
Yeah.
I want the Falcons on the money line.
Yeah.
That was a relatively easy win against the Vikings. J.J. McCarthy, largely unproven so far still. I like this spot for Tampa on the road to, go out here and, it's an important game for them as well.
It's even where if Tampa was at home, it would swing to them being as a favorite. I feel like that underdog number is just because they're in Houston.
Sure.
It's a faith in the coaching staff, and I don't have the most faith in Todd Bowles. I was on the ship of, after the season, just fire him and elevate Liam Cohen and keep him with Baker. But even his new OC, once again, and Gizzard, is doing a good job. It's just Baker Mayfield, how efficient he is. It's still Mike Evans as his number one. We saw that instant chemistry with him and Emeka Egbuka, a guy that team was bragging about since training camp kicked off. It's his offense staying on track. Baker, Bucky Irving, Egbuka, and Mike Evans. The offensive line's banged up, but I trust how this Buccaneers team can adapt to their offensive shortcomings to find ways to win. Nick Caley, I don't have the most faith in him as an offensive play caller. He was with the Patriots. He went to Las Vegas. Now he's attached to Sean McVay, but he wasn't calling plays there.
Right.
And he gets elevated to this OC role here. That's something where DeMeco Ryans is a good head coach, good defensive mind, needs to grow and get better when it comes to his hiring practices. We've seen Matt LaFleur deal with those issues when it came to his DCs, and he's finally got it right up in Green Bay this season. That's where I just think of how the coaching staffs are constructed, and I'm going to pick the quarterback in this one. I'm with you. Before you said that number, I was going to take the Buccaneers. Now it feels even better because you can make some money off of them.
Right.
All right, game 2 on the night, 10 p.m. kickoff. Chargers, man. I mean, been a while since we saw them play. They kicked off the season. We saw what they did Friday night against the Chiefs. Looked so sharp. And it's a Raiders team that squeaked out a win on the road. Now they'll be home, but it's a really good Chargers team, really good defense, an offensive line that wants to run the ball. I'm interested in this one. I like L.A. simply because it's Justin Herbert, it's Jim Harbaugh, but I like them to win handily in this one, Adam, because that's a Raiders defense that isn't good, but this Patriots team made them look good. So I trust this Chargers offense to be able to run the ball and Marion Hamp to get on the scene and honestly just dominate the Raiders.
Look, as someone who likes the Chargers as well, I'll give you some trends to support it. Trends are our friends till they're not, right? Chargers, they have won 3 of their last 4 meetings between these teams. Fine, goes back last year. Favorites have covered in each of the last 6 meetings between these squads. Chargers are a 3-point favorite right there on the nose. L.A. swept the last 6 against Las Vegas with a rest advantage. Remember, they're coming off the mini bye in Brazil to open up the year. And the Raiders have dropped 6 straight games against divisional opponents. Everything just screams Chargers, Chargers, Chargers. I think there were 3-4 of my favorite plays throughout NFL Week 2. This one, Chargers covering the number, was on that list, on that short list, because you said it. For one, Justin Herbert, coming off that upset of Kansas City, looked excellent. He looked great.
Like a number 5 quarterback in the league.
Yeah, trying to put the ugly loss to the Texans in the playoffs behind him, the 4 interceptions. Let's not forget how good he was in the regular season last year. Only 2 picks the entire year. But what's kind of most encouraging, I think, about that offense, and it all ties back to Herbert, I realize, but we talk about weapons. There are so many. Ladd McConkey is going to continue to be a safety blanket. I'm still upset the Patriots did not draft him. He's one. You got some optimism, some hope, some, I don't know, some thought that maybe, just maybe, this guy can materialize as the prospect that you wanted him to be, Quentin Johnston. And then Keenan Allen.
Drops. Yes.
Keenan Allen comes back after his gap year with the Bears, and he's right where he left off. So these 3 guys, Against the Chiefs, they each had 5 catches plus 65 plus receiving yards, balanced attack. You didn't get a whole lot out of Maureen Hampton in that first game. I think that's going to change, much like you. Ashton Jeanty on the other side, who is excellent. We know that, obviously. Kind of a dud debut. He was limited to about 40 rushing yards, had almost 20 carries. It was not productive. I think he's going to be better. The giant domino, and we just don't have, we think we know, but we don't have a clear answer to right now, is Brock Bowers.
Yeah.
Is he going to play? He hopes to. He was limited in practice this week, didn't even participate to begin the practice week. He's coming off the injury against the Patriots when he went for 100-plus yards last week. But even if he is out there, again, the optimism that he's going to be, even if he is out there.
Good secondary for L.A.
What's he going to look like also? He's not going to be 100%. We know that. So, puts more pressure conceivably on Jacoby Myers, who's coming off a roughly 100-yard game.
Yeah.
As you noted, Geno Smith, really good for the Raiders in that first game against New England. I just think that ultimately the Chargers are too strong. Too strong defensively, too strong offensively. Hampton's going to have a good second game. Chargers win this one going away.
What it's going to be is that for a Jim Harbaugh team, he's going to win in the trenches.
Yeah.
He's going to run the ball. They lose Rashawn Slater, an all-world left tackle. They should move Joe Wall at a right tackle to left tackle, and he can play fantastically there. But it's also, as you say, Justin Herbert, how sharp he looked. He's healthy.
Yeah.
When has he ever been healthy? Last year, it goes back to battling plantar fasciitis all offseason long. He was never 100%. Ladd McConkey, just a rookie, but as a sophomore, continue to be that pro, that reliable pass catcher he has. I'm not banking on QJ. I'm not banking on Keenan Allen, but he'll get the job done. But it is the addition, too, of Omari and Hampton, where it's a consistent run game. It's a defense that dominates up front with their D-line. It has really good secondary as well. And so if a Brock Bowers, to your point, isn't 100%, Jacoby Myers is smart. He's good. Him and Geno Smith have chemistry. He knows how to get open. He's a pro. Jack Besh, the rookie out of TCU, I don't trust him to make any splash plays yet. Again, Dante Thornton, electric out of Tennessee, just a rookie. And with Jim Harbaugh, it's well-coached teams. They know the scouting report. It's again on how the Raiders won was a lot of the mistakes from the Patriots. We're not going to see this from the Chargers. This is a sound Chargers team. Justin Herbert stays healthy, stays on track, will finish as a top 5. With Joe Burrow out for quite some time, could be the 4th best QB in the league this season.
Sure.
But Justin Herbert's been this good. It takes a while. It's his second year with Jim Harbaugh, too. It's in the microwave society. We want everyone to be elite right away. It's this pairing between a head coach and a quarterback is going to be good. I like the Chargers tonight against the Raiders.
All right, so we put that Chargers and Bucks money line at plus money, a little parlay together, see what happens.
Right, exactly that. Or a little teaser, too, though. You could get Chargers, what are they, laying 3?
Laying 3.
Get them to +3, depending what you want to go with.
Yeah.
And just, sleep a little better. Again, that's 10 p.m. late for me, Adam.
Take the Bucks out to 8.5.
There's conservative money, and then there's Stones money. That's what we got on this one. This is Boston is Enter the Chat. George Balekji, Adam Kaufman. You can catch us hour 2 on Nesson Nation from 9 p.m., 10 p.m. every day. This is it for us here on Nesson. But make sure as well, leave a voicemail, 617-790-0928. We'll see you guys over on Nesson Nation.